News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Chris Crock Show, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. The defense rested, the prosecution rested, and if this were a regular courtroom in the Trump trial, if this were a regular mainstream courtroom run by a regular non-hyperpartisan leftist Trump-hating judge, the jury would have been given the instructions today and they'd be in deliberations right now. That is what two former prosecutors said. One former federal prosecutor, Trey, what's Trey's last name? The guy Trey Gowdy, he's a Fox News contributor. He said that today as a former federal prosecutor, and Judge Jeanine Pirro from Fox said the same thing, that she would have given them because you don't wait. What happened today was the judge literally said, go home, have a very long Memorial Day weekend. I'll see you in 8 days. What can happen in 8 days to a jury that lives in a 95% Democrat area? Is there going to be one juror who is not approached by family, friends, neighbors, or coworkers to pressure them? Is there one? Do you think there's one juror in this case that will not be? I mean, here's what I thought about today when I heard that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because here's why. If you've been gone from work for 4 weeks, do you think that maybe your coworkers have figured out you're in the Trump trial? Why would you? What is your work going to say? What would your employer say to your coworkers if you've been gone for 4 weeks? Is he dead? Does the man have leprosy, or is he hospitalized? Everybody will be asking, where's that person? Did he get fired? Did she get fired? They'll all figure it out. I am convinced that the judge did this to pressure the jurors to give a guilty verdict, or you're going to be the mob's coming for you. That's my feeling. Now, some other people thought perhaps, that I heard some of the commentators today say, well, I think it could be good because it'll give them time to forget about all the stuff that was this and that, and they'll come back and say, I can't remember this and that, so forget it, I'm not going to convict them. I don't think so at all. I think this is very, very, very bad. And this judge and this jury knows you are all that stands between President Trump and winning the election. I swear to you, that's how I feel. And I hope I'm wrong, but I this is the most pathetic. There's still no crime named. Does anybody here know what the crime is? I mean, by the way, guess what else? The judge did allow one instruction in that he hasn't given the jurors instructions. What's going to happen is on Tuesday, after Memorial Day, the jury will be given well, actually, they're going to hear closing arguments for the defense and prosecution. They're also going to be given instructions, and the jury may go to the jury by either late Tuesday or Wednesday. So we might have a verdict by Tuesday or Wednesday. I am terribly worried about this. I'm going to be really honest with you. This is the only thing that could stop Trump, this kind of a conviction on this. And the question is, what will people think if he's convicted of this pathetic and bogus thing that will not be able to be appealed until after the election? Joe Biden's going to look at him and say, you're a convicted felon. Just like the lie with 31 former intelligence people said. That's a bunch of garbage, he said. That's Russian disinformation, when he knew it was a lie. But the 51 intelligence agencies, former agents, sold their soul to the devil to try to keep Trump out of office. I believe this is going to be the same type of thing. I pray not, but I'm not optimistic. I wish I were. I want to ask you a few questions. Do you feel this jury will end up convicting Trump? And do you think the jurors may be harassed and threatened over the next 8 days? Like, people will figure out they're on that jury, and people start asking them, is that you? You on that? You on that? You on that? And what are they going to say? Can you believe the judge let him go home for 8 days? Can you freaking believe that? What? There's no rationale for that. And what's your prediction for the outcome of this trial? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Do you feel this jury is going to end up convicting Trump? Do you actually think the jurors may be harassed and threatened over the next 8 days? And what's your prediction for the outcome of this trial? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I am very, very, very concerned. I don't know if you're going to find any judge that would have let them go home for 8 days. Does this sound right to you guys, my colleagues? 8 days of being sent home? I mean, have you ever heard of a jury off, like the case is done, except for the closing arguments, and the jury's off for 8 days in the middle of the trial? And it's not like one of the jurors' members' wife just got cancer or something, where they're in the hospital for 8 days on death's bed or something, where you would understand. You know what I mean? This is just like, oh, ho hum, see you in 8 days. What do you think the reason for the judge really doing this is? Because to me, it's to let them get accosted by friends, coworkers, colleagues, neighbors, relatives. Oh my gosh, for example, I have a relative who, I have two people in my family that literally despise Trump and hate him and think he's Satan and think he belongs behind jail. What would they say to me if they thought I might be on this trial? I know what they're going to say to me. You got to do this for the country. How dare you? What's wrong? I can't imagine. And then take that into consideration that you work and live in a place that's 95% Democrat. What do you think the coworkers are going to do? How much do you want to bet these coworkers of all these people have figured out who they are? When you found out there was two corporate lawyers on this, one of them is the foreman on this jury, and two corporate lawyers from two different companies have had their lawyers have gone missing for 4 weeks and nobody knows where they're at. What do you think? What do you think? How many cryptic messages, hints, and direct asks or demands from people they're going to get? How many more opportunities are there to bully, harass, scare, all sorts of stuff? These people, it's incredible. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Why do you think this judge gave him 8 days off? Do you feel this jury is going to end up convicting Trump? And do you think the jurors may be harassed and threatened over the next 8 days or cajoled into it? Eddie in Dallas, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Eddie.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
All right, man, how are you?
I'm not good. It's all unraveling. The deep state, Joe Biden's not running the country. Bragg is a piece of, and they're doing this for political gain and to stop him from running. It's not going to work, but it may work. And that's the scariest thing in the world. They're unraveling our whole country over something that's not even a crime. Now, I got to admit, if Trump didn't put himself in this situation with Stormy, then we wouldn't even be here. So, it's kind of a...
Well, hold on a second. Let me answer that. There's no evidence that he actually had relations with her. I used to think there was no question he did, but now I think it's possible based on her saying that she said all these lies in her testimony that were unnecessary and over the top. A lot of her stuff that she said earlier and publicly was there was no Me Too, there was no this, no that, and then she changed it and made it look like it was Me Too in this whole thing. I think the woman has changed her story, and I think she is looking to cash in. So I actually believe that it's very well may not be true, but I think she's just totally not a credible witness at all.
Okay, the problem here is that we've lost all control of the government. The government doesn't have the government does not have the interest of its people.
That's right.
It doesn't care about the citizens of the country.
That's exactly right.
They're going after this guy because they want to keep the power and keep him in. Keep Biden in office, and Biden isn't even in office.
This is another devised, planned out hoax, and it's as you say, it's anything to stop him in ways that are undemocratic, against our country, against our ways, and against our values. And it is doing it at the expense of this very country. It is.
Right, but how? So what's the solution?
Well, the solution is, some people say it's to play just as dirty as they do. I can't get on board with that. I just can't.
Okay, so we're not going to do that. They don't do that, and because they do that.
No, they do. They do that, and we don't. Yeah.
I understand, and we don't. So the Democrats like dirty. The people don't care about policy. They don't care about what the country was before that jerk-off got into office. No wars, great economy, 3%.
They do care. They do care. And the question is, I'm going to tell you two things before I let you go, Eddie. Number one, Actually, I'll tell you coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, which is the judge gave instructions that were beneficial to Trump in one regard that actually may make them decide to not return a guilty verdict. I'll share that with you coming up next. But the other thing is that they, in fact, they're seeking to undermine the whole way. They're going to put together anything they can to keep this guy out of office, to stop him even if it's fake. And the question really is, Eddie, that do the people, will they overlook this? Because I believe we might get a guilty verdict, which is unthinkable right now. It's pathetic, but we might get one. But are they willing to overlook this because the pain in their wallet and the pain in their life is too great?
You ready for this? No,
yeah.
It's not. You know why? Because they're accepting the higher gas prices. They're accepting the mortgage rates doubling to 7-point-something%. They're accepting everything to not have somebody they don't even like that they don't even know.
That they know is elderly, senile, and has no idea what's going on.
That's right.
Eddie, I got to roll, but I appreciate your great call. Next, I want to hear from you, by the way. We got lines wide open for you. Chime in right now, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Why do you think the judge, after the defense and prosecution rested, why do you think the judge gave the jurors 8 days off instead of finishing this case today or tomorrow? Why? Why would he let them sit and go out in the public for 8 days? It's unthinkable, unbelievable, and he knows a lot of this stuff's going to get struck on appeal, but he knows the appeal won't happen until after the election. So this is to rig it. This is to literally rig the dang election, and it's true. Why do you think this judge took 8 days off? Do you feel this jury's going to end up convicting President Trump? And do you think the jurors may be harassed and threatened or cajoled in the next 8 days into making sure they put Orange Man behind bars? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Next, I'm going to tell you the one instruction the judge is going to give the jury on Tuesday that is beneficial and righteous in Trump's favor. I'll tell you what that is and why it matters next.
The White House is the person or the group, whatever. They're the one trying this case. You heard who was doing all the talking. Representative from the White House, just recently. This is all about Biden can't campaign, so he's trying to injure his opponent. They're trying to hurt the opponent because they can't win it fair and square. It's lawfare. There are a lot of terms for it. It's a third world country way of campaigning. Such a disgrace. So sad to see what's happened to our country. Our country's going to hell under Biden.
I've watched Michael interact with a lot of people over the years. He has he has all those rough edges and all the lies and all this, but there's something compelling about him at the same time. You kind of believe it, warts and all.
That Michael Cohen, of course, has a checkered past, but we see convictions all the time with cooperators who have far worse histories, contract killers, mobsters, and yet you get convictions.
The defense may think they racked up a big victory for themselves today. Now, pocketing 30 grand might be shady, but it doesn't change the facts of the case.
Interesting to hear from the different sides. Judge's instructions that he agreed to was if he did not, I can't remember, it's kind of, it'll pop back in my memory in a second, but it was something to the effect of if Trump didn't commit this offense, then you can't charge the rest. I think he was trying to say if he's not guilty of some of the things they're alleging in this, then you can't prosecute the case. That's it. If something effective with the alleged, this is the exact instruction. It went out of my mind, came right back in. The judge said he agreed to say that if, it keeps floating in and out of my mind. He gave him an instruction, or he's going to give him instructions that say if, how did it go? It'll come back to me in a second. I'll have to jump right back. Let me go to Tony first, and I'll come right back on. It's one of those things I heard in passing on Fox, and it made great sense, which will come right back to me. Stand by on that. Tony in Duncanville, you're on 820 WBAP at 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, the case is not legit, so they must acquit. That's all I can say. Anybody with one brain cell or two brain cells that's breathing, they have to see and read between the lines. Now, there are two attorneys, I believe, on the jury. One of them is in law school, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they're both attorneys, but I don't trust them because they have Jesse Waters from Fox found they have DEI stuff on their websites. Doesn't mean that they like that stuff, but I don't believe they can be used just like an MSNBC or fake news CNN attorney would be to manipulate you and say, oh, no, that's absolutely right, and this is exactly right. This is a righteous case. This is exactly what you have to do. I mean, God knows what they're going to say.
Well, if the case is not legit, you must acquit. If he doesn't get a hung jury, then it's going to be overturned at the appellate level. But
that doesn't mean anything because it won't be after the election. They know it will be, just like the Hunter Biden laptop thing would eventually prove out to be true. But all they needed was their backup. In this case, a hoax case to come up and a leftist judge to rig it for them and a leftist DA to bring the charges, knowing that eventually would get overturned. Of course it would be, but it serves the purpose, and they timed it right before the election. They could have done this 4 years ago.
It's shameful, bro. I'm expecting hung jury, but I've been wrong before. Why they're waiting 8 days?
Why are they making him wait 8 days? I think he's doing it because he wants them to get pressured, cajoled, and to voting to convict.
Well, hopefully we can find jury tampering, or that maybe there's someone behind the scenes. Like something always comes out in the aftermath, like with what's her name, Fawny Willis.
It'll be too late.
Something shady. Well, they're off on Wednesday, so he had to give them at least a day off. But anyway, I don't get it either. I don't get it, bro. But if the case is not legit, we must acquit and have a wonderful evening, sir.
Yeah, you too. The judge's instructions that were good, I'll explain a little bit later, but the charging conference was held this afternoon, and he gave them 8 days off. And looking at this, also, by the way, I don't know if you caught that, Rosie O'Donut sent a message. Rosie O'Donut is friends with Michael Cohen, and she sent him a text saying, "You got this. I love you." And Cohen wrote back, "Thank you, and truly love you." And there you go. Isn't that funny? Rosie O'Donut has got his back. Hopefully she won't eat his back. I don't know. Desperate people do desperate things. All right, things are much worse. Things are much worse than we have found it today. We got some really, really bad news. I don't know if you caught this. It broke late this afternoon. But the Biden administration authorized the use of deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Biden authorized the use of deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid. So that Mar-a-Lago documents raid, the FBI was ordered to go in much more discreet than normal, and they were told you can use deadly force. This very well may have been a setup. I wish I was exaggerating that. It's unthinkable, but I'll just read you a few headlines. The FBI was prepared to use deadly force in Trump's raid. Explosive new details of the Mar-a-Lago classified files probe are revealed, including where more documents were found. I'm going to give you the details on that and what they told the agents to wear that made it look like they were really not agents, but they could use deadly force. What does that mean? You can look like please don't look like you're an FBI agent, but please use deadly force if you need to. If somebody's breaking into your house, what do? This is not the norm. We'll get to that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. All the details on that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Okay, brand new information released by Judge Cannon in the documents case with that raid on Mar-a-Lago shows that the Biden administration told the agents, the FBI agents, to go in unmarked with polos, conceal your law enforcement equipment, and you're authorized to use deadly force. Think about that. Do you remember those Catholics? The Catholic man and his wife, he was at an abortion clinic. Remember, he and his son was there, and one of the abortionists got up in his son's face, and pushed him. So he got up in that guy's face, and Joe Biden decided to have the FBI raid his house because he had the audacity to stand up for his son when one of these pro-abortionist got in his son's face, yelled at him, and apparently pushed him or something of that nature. And so when that Catholic homeschooled family with like 8 or 10 kids, what Catholic family doesn't have that many? So you're either Catholic or you're Mormon. You might be Baptist, but you're probably Catholic or Mormon with that kind of a brood, right? Nothing wrong with that. We need more and more great people who have the same values. More children from our side is better. But they showed up at his doorbell. Remember that? They rang his doorbell. They had rifles. They had FBI markings and bulletproof jackets that said FBI on them. And they had rifles. That's what they had on that raid. It was abundantly clear they were FBI doing a raid on an innocent man's house. Thankfully, that guy was acquitted, I believe. But in this case, with Trump, they said, don't let anybody see anything. Don't show your gear. Go in there. You can use deadly force. So Trump knew about this today. He went nuts on this. He had a post on Truth Social. He says that Joe Biden, DOJ, and their illegal and unconstitutional raid of Mar-a-Lago, they authorized, all caps, authorized the FBI to use deadly force. They were authorized to shoot me, Trump said in his post today. Here's a report. This all broke this afternoon, like kind of almost into the evening on Bret Baier's show, which is 5 o'clock our time, 6 o'clock their time on the East Coast. That's the first time this really came out. I'm going to play a minute of this from coverage a few hours ago from Fox when this broke, of Bret Baier and Kevin Corke. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a Fox News longtime journalist.
Former President Trump's attorneys argue the Biden administration Justice Department authorized the use of deadly force if necessary during that raid of the former president's home in Mar-a-Lago down in Florida as they're searching for classified materials. Again, this is an exhibit that is just one of many documents released by the judge Eileen Cannon in recent days. Correspondent Kevin Corke has these breaking details as they're coming, some 400 pages released just in the past few minutes. Good evening, Kevin.
Evening, Brett. I've been going over this. It is quite shocking what we have been able to glean based on what Judge Cannon has released. As you mentioned, the Biden administration authorizing the use of deadly force during the FBI's raid on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in August of 2022 as part of its investigation into classified records. That, again, according to court documents. Now, an operations order, Brett, produced in discovery as part of Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into the former president's alleged improper retention of classified records, revealed that the FBI believed its objective for the Mar-a-Lago raid was to seize classified information, NDI, and government records as described in the search warrant. Here's where things get very interesting. The order, according to a court filing, contained a policy statement regarding the use of deadly force, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the DOJ may use deadly force when necessary. According to the filing, the DOJ and FBI agents plan to bring standard-issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, and medium and large-sized bolt cutters. But they were also instructed, according to the filing, to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and to keep law enforcement equipment concealed. Mr. Trump was charged out of Smith's investigation.
All right, that's basically, do you understand this? Don't let anybody figure out who you are. Go and arrest the President of the United States of America, and raid his home. And if you get any resistance or anybody has any weapons or something, and you feel you need to use your weapon, deadly force is authorized. So they were possibly setting up for a gun battle, or for the president. The worst thing is, were they going to try to take out the president? I mean, I don't know, but deadly force should never be used on anything with the President of the United States or the former President of the United States. This is unconscionable. This is unconscionable. So I want to ask you a few questions about this. Do you believe that Joe Biden wanted the FBI to actually use deadly force against Trump? Do you believe this was a setup to put Trump in danger? And I hate to even ask these questions, but why in God's name, for a document raid, would you authorize the use of deadly force, and would you tell everybody to look like they're civilians while being authorized to use deadly force? This is beyond the pale. I can't imagine this. I mean, is Trump a war criminal? Is he like a Rwandan war criminal or something? Is he a Haitian warlord who's taken over the land, who might shoot you when you break in? Is he the illegitimate president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who overthrew the election, which should be Juan Guaido's the illegitimate president of Venezuela? Is that what this is? What do you think about this? What's your reaction to the fact that the agents were told to hide their law enforcement gear, wear unmarked polo shirts, and to use deadly force if necessary on the Mar-a-Lago document raid? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Chime in right now. 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So think of it this way. The Department of Justice does a raid, FBI does a raid in your house, but they're not in the standard raid gear, the SWAT gear. They're not in their militaristic style stuff. They're not wearing jackets or bulletproof vests that say FBI, clearly, and they don't have their long guns. So people that are unmarked are trying to raid Mar-a-Lago and get documents. This is hostile at best. Hostile at best. So some people are saying, openly saying that, like on Twitter, one of the folks tweeting about this said they were hoping to shoot members of Trump's team. I don't know, but I don't understand why you would authorize the use of deadly force in a raid that should be peaceful and calm. The agents were told to use standard issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, medium and large size bolt cutters, instructed to wear unmarked polo collared shirts, keep law enforcement equipment concealed. And then the order states law enforcement officers with the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary on the President of the United States of America. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'll read a little bit more from Trump. Wow, I just came out of the Biden witch hunt trial in Manhattan, the icebox. And that's funny. And the show, and I was shown reports that crooked Joe Biden's DOJ in their illegal and unconstitutional raid of Mar-a-Lago authorized the FBI to use deadly lethal force. Now we know for sure that Joe Biden's a serious threat to democracy. He is mentally unfit to hold office. 25th Amendment. Anyway, this is another thing that makes you go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Well, there it is, and I'll keep you apprised throughout the night as to this, but this is all over the news tonight. Fox News, Daily Mail, MSN had it tonight, so I think it's everywhere now, and it should be. The world needs to know that Joe Biden authorized the use of deadly force against his opponent while telling the FBI to be low-profile dressed, so you can't tell they're law enforcement. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you believe Biden wanted the FBI to actually use deadly force against Trump, and do you believe this was a setup to put Trump in danger? Also coming up next, another unbelievable hoax that is really, really stupid. The Trump campaign team, somebody with the Trump campaign team, retweeted a video that seemed fine, but if you pause certain frames and you zoom in and look at it with a magnifying glass, you see some words that are words similar to what were used in the Nazis in World War II. So now comes the mainstream media to show this to the world and say Trump is a Nazi. He wants to bring in a Nazi regime here. When I'll give you more details, but it wasn't from his campaign. Somebody with his campaign retweeted it, and then they were told about it, and they ended up deleting it. But the mainstream media has come forward, and they're all showing this. And even Joe Biden came out today. Perfect timing. Perfect timing, Joe Biden. Oh, my gosh, look at what Trump said. Oh, my gosh, look at him. Some people are even saying the Democrats made this little video up together and tucked something in there that you could barely even see anywhere, and then so they could set him up to get that out there, and then they could go after him. I don't know. I'll give you all the details about that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. In just a few, there's an ad that a Trump campaign staffer retweeted, and there's a tiny little barely legible thing on there, and it says something that is concerning, and they're trying to make Trump look like Hitler. And the left just blows it up like they always do and pretends like it's real and takes it seriously when it's not. But I will share that with you in just a moment. Meantime, the Biden Department of Justice, it was revealed in court papers that were released today by the federal judge in Florida on the documents Mar-a-Lago raid case that said that Biden authorized deadly force against Trump in this Mar-a-Lago raid. And they told the agents to wear unmarked polo shirts and keep law enforcement equipment concealed. Sounds like a recipe for a disaster, and it sounds like a recipe that could hurt or kill the president or his team. It's unthinkable that they would do this, but they did. So that came out today. What do you think? Do you believe Biden wanted the FBI to actually use deadly force against Trump or his team? And do you believe this was a setup to put Trump in danger? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. What I'm referring to, the reports, when Fox News talked about it this evening, I've got that all on my Twitter feed, at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, CHRISKROK. All right, Michael in Dallas, you've called in at 800-288-WBAP. You're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Good,
just
sir.
had a comment for you on it. I was thinking it's just kind of odd you would send them in first off, unmarked and all that. So it just makes it easier as a surprise attack. Not sure if that's how the FBI works, but if you can imagine, the chaos that entailed in there, all it would take is one shot to go off. I mean, Trump's caught in the crosshairs ultimately, and I mean, that's a clean, easy way just to take him out.
What I can compare this to, I'm certainly not an expert on all these matters, but what I can compare this to is, I mentioned it earlier, I don't know if you caught it, but there was a Catholic family. The father is home; they're homeschooler. Yep. They have 8 kids, and the dad was at a protesting at an abortion clinic peacefully, right. And his son was accosted, and they got this abortionist guy got into his face and either pushed him or shoved him or threatened him or something. Dad stepped in, and Dad had a little tussle with the guy. Apparently, Dad was prosecuted. He got a raid by the FBI, and when they raided his house, a devout Catholic man with 8 kids, when they came to his door, his wife answered the door from the FBI. They had FBI regalia on. It said FBI. They had the rifles. They had their flak jackets that said FBI. All that stuff was clearly overtly marked like they're supposed to be. That's not how this raid was told to do it. So, I mean, that's just 2 separate cases. Why would you do it this way versus the other way? I mean, you know what I mean? This doesn't make sense.
No, I saw the video of that when all that happened.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense.
Do you remember they had rifles pointed at him?
Yeah, I saw. I think it was his wife, and she was on her phone confronting them.
Yeah, she's like, "What do you mean?" And she wouldn't let us in. She's like, "I'm not letting you in."
Yeah, they just kind of stood there and stared at her and did what they had to do. But I mean, I don't think it's right at all. But I mean, I was thinking about that with the Mar-a-Lago, man. That would have been an easy way to catch Trump in the crosshairs and say, well, it got hostile. I think that was one of their shots right there to take aim at him.
So you do believe Biden wanted the FBI to actually use deadly force against Trump or his team? You believe it was a setup to put Trump in danger?
I think it was a playbook in their back pocket for sure. Okay. I mean, that's a good way to go in there and just
we were just trying to get some documents.
No, if a vase fell off an end table, that, hey, man, everyone's a little nervous. One shot fires off. That's it. That whole room's getting blasted. And, well, there's Trump right in the middle of it. So
I wonder if they coordinated with the Secret Service. Because if they didn't, then all bets are off on what they were looking at doing. Appreciate your call, Michael. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. Next is this ad. This ad that just aired, actually, somebody put together an ad, and it looks very, very, very professionally done. And there are, we got a minute still? All right, I'll play it. This is an ad. I can't retweet it because this is some leftist nutbag. but I'll find a clean copy to just retweet to you. But here's what the ad has. There's audio I'm going to play for you. In the video, they're showing like newspaper with Trump's picture over it. It's in color. The newspaper's in black and white. And it's moving. The whole screen's moving. The newspaper's moving. And one of the tiny little headlines that's barely even legible says First Reich. Something like the First Reich. Unified Reich, I'm sorry. It references in a headline the Unified Reich, but it's a tiny little one, and it's half legible, half not legible. We have to pause it and zoom in. It's like, to me, this is completely pathetic. This ad, which I'll play for you right now, was retweeted by a Trump team member. They didn't create it. It wasn't maybe the Trump team. And so the Democrats come out, look at you! You're calling for a Unified Reich! They deleted the video after retweeting it, even though they didn't make it. Here we go.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America? The economy booms. American energy is unleashed and an end to crushing taxes. The border is closed and the largest deportation in history is underway.
I'm going to pause it right there because we got to take a quick time out, but I'll play you the rest of it when we come back. It's basically headlines and subheadlines. It's taking pieces up, like I guess pages from the actual news back in the day in World War II or something, and it's interspersing them with Trump's pictures and Biden's pictures and some headlines and stuff. But these are like non-consequential, tiny little subheadlines on other sections of the paper that are just flashing by. None of it's focused on or blown up. And one of it says Unified Reich on there or something like that, which is probably something from World War II paper that they transposed this one. It's so pathetic and so weak, but this is what the left does. ABC News was drooling over this and how bad Trump is. I'll play that for you next, and we'll talk to you about that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.